Let me start by asking, and this is not just about your individual companies, but also about what's happening in the startup space in general. So Ritesh, while you're saying Apna time aa gaya, explain why, and what do you have to say about the headwinds that we're now seeing in the startup ecosystem, with it seeming that this one big unbelievable party could be coming to an end?
First off, thank you so much, Rahul, for having me here. Great to be in the company of all my young colleagues from the industry, including Mr. Bhadra. We consider him on our side.
Like I am the veteran line, huh? He's like, yeah, young and मैं veteran हूँ of startup का.
But thank you for having me here. Look, I think I started by telling you Apna time aa gaya because last time we were together, we talked about how travel was shut. And now, the Indian travel is coming back with vengeance. Whether you are in the hills, in the beaches, in urban towns, people are traveling significantly more. Last month, in the Easter weekend, just in 1 week, we did over 8 lakh bookings, and every week after that, we've done more, which is every week beats the record ever since pandemic. So that was the reason I was telling that about travel. I think that said, generally, if you look at the broader startup ecosystem, I would like to call out 3 things, right? The first bit is no one can take away that the last 3 years have been transformational for the Indian startup ecosystem. And, everything that grows so quickly needs to consolidate for a little time before it starts growing all over again. And that's what I feel is what's happening here. There have been some restructuring in some of the other startups in the country, and I think my perspective is there at the same time a lot of startups which are also hiring. So my hope and aspiration is that all the talent will get accepted very quickly. And last but not the least is the same way as you think about inflation. Inflation is happening around the world. But India is in a relatively much more sweeter spot than most parts of the world. That's the same thing I tell about the startup ecosystem. That you're seeing startup ecosystem challenges around the world, but India is in a much sweeter spot. And my perspective is, I went through 2 years of challenge in the times of COVID. And it was a definitive character building phase. It allowed me to make sure our company was significantly more product and engineering focused. We improved our margins, our cost structures. I think, the next 8-9 months will be character building for business, corporate governance, and so on for startups.
Earlier, other people's parties ending now, and you're hoping that a new party is starting for you.
For everyone together in a little while from now is my hope.
Nikhil, the narrative suddenly seems to have turned. That headline that every 4 days we are throwing up a unicorn was phenomenal. 1 in every 10 unicorns globally was coming from India. Now it suddenly seems that there's a bit of an air bubble. How are you viewing this?
So Rahul, for the lack of a better word, the private markets for a while now have been more expensive than public markets. When retail investors and the public at large experienced a bunch of IPOs which kind of failed, I think people are re-questioning why startups are valued at the level that they are. Cost of money, I think, is going up significantly. The only tool the central banks across the world have to fight inflation is to take interest rates above inflation. And when that were to happen, especially in the West, the amount of money percolating down into India to invest into startups will probably go down. So put cost of capital as maybe twice as much as we had in the past in 1 year from now. I think the valuations they can attribute with that money to startups in India will go down proportionally. And I think we are seeing the first semblance of that in a way. And in my experience, if you go back in time and look at history, cycles where inflation starts going up do not end overnight. I think it will be a long drawn cycle, and hopefully, India does better than the rest of the world in that cycle.